Yong Nang is the CEO of Japfa, a Singapore-listed industrialized agri-food company that produces staples such as poultry, pork, beef, dairy, and aquaculture products. With markets in Indonesia, Vietnam, Myanmar, India, and China, Tan had to deal with the disruptive shocks early in the COVID crisis.
It is really important for us that we continue to supply our products to the market in which we operate. Even with the initial lockdown, a lot of countries, the governments, the regulators, actually they are very, very supportive and continue to push for our maximum production to feed the people. So other than very initial teething problems and whereby certain licenses were issued to us, a permit were issued to us and not really quite well sorted out, but they got sorted out very quickly within a couple of days. And thereafter, we are able to supply quite continuously.
When you look at your farming model, you essentially produce locally to sell locally. What was the initial feeling when the shutdown started to happen in each of the countries that you operated in?
Lucky for us, right, as you say, right, we produce locally. A lot of raw materials we source are actually locally as well. And we do have, by nature of our business, right, we do have some stock for a certain period of time. And so even with the lockdown happen, we do have sufficient raw material supply to continue our day-to-day operation.
The bigger headwind for Tan was handling the volatile swings in demand across its different markets.
China was affected by the virus first, and as such, I think we see a bit of slowdown in China. Now, subsequently, I think we see a recovery, especially in Q2. All the while, I think Vietnam has been relatively not that much affected. Again, we are seeing pretty strong recovery also in Q2. I think Indonesia, together with Myanmar and India, they were affected a bit later. And I think the worst time for us, I would say that for all these countries, probably April. And since then, I'm seeing slight recovery in May or June. Now, going forward, how is this going to impact us? It remains to be seen. I think depending how COVID pan out, so that we won't be able to tell that quickly yet.
According to Tan, prices of the staples have since rebounded.
You have a couple of months whereby prices actually decline, and then they get sort of recovered fairly quickly as well. So all in, I'll say that relatively, right, we are less affected by the whole COVID situation.
Japfa says it's reaping rewards from its diversified program. For the second quarter, it expects dairy in China and swine operations in Vietnam to offset the weaker poultry performance in Indonesia. Your diversification is across 5 proteins and 5 countries. How much of your underlying strategy is lined up that helps you cope with the uncertainty and the volatility that comes out from events like COVID-19?
I think our strategy is actually very well placed and well suited to handle the world today. COVID just happened to be one of those events. Also interestingly, given that we are in the animal livestock business, we are quite used to handling disease, albeit animal kind of disease rather than human kind of disease. If I want to draw the analogy, is that COVID is like very, very strong headwind. So in a situation of a very strong headwind, imagine that we are in a competition of boat sailing. In a boat sailing competition, right? We are not afraid of headwinds. In a tailwind situation, everybody move forward very quickly. But I think it is also only in the strong headwind situation that I think we can see the difference. And I think I can attribute how we handle it in maybe 3 different dimensions or 3 different aspects. I think number 1, we do pursue a vertically integrated business model. Take poultry as an example. We will start with producing, in the breeding side, producing the day-old chicks. And on the feed side, we produce feed. And when we sort of feed our feed, which is really dedicated for our breeding offspring, the DOC, right? And then move on to our commercial operation. So that gives us a fully integrated model. And we further, some of them we do produce further into secondary processed product like chicken, nuggets, sausages, and things like that. So in that sense, we are allowed to play the full value chain. And I think that put us in an advantage. Just imagine if you compete in a football competition, you have a full team. You have all the way from the defender, the striker. So we do have a full team. Basically, we try to have uncorrelated revenue stream coming from different areas, whether it's coming from India, coming from China, coming from Indonesia, or coming from Vietnam, and coming from different types of proteins, right? As you rightly point out, coming from chicken, coming from swine, coming from milk, coming from beef, as well as coming from aquaculture. So it is really quite unlikely that you have a downturn in Indonesia aquaculture, for instance, right? And then at the same time there'll be a downturn in China milk. So all these are different revenue streams do give us some advantages in evening out all this volatility.